You're listening to the Anxiety-Ridden Moms Club,
the podcast for moms who love their kids deeply and still feel anxious, exhausted, and overstimulated.
Here, we talk about the messy stuff, the thoughts we don't say out loud, the pressure to do it all, and the journey back to ourselves.
Progress over perfection, always.
Let's go. You're listening to the Anxiety-Ridden Moms Club, the podcast for moms who love their kids deeply, but also sometimes wonder, why are you all fighting like this?
Like you just got a trampoline. Why? Is someone crying?
No, literally. This episode is inspired by my family at Easter and what should have been a dream situation turned into absolute chaos. Okay. Let's get into it and try to not hurt anyone's feelings or have this episode wreck any families. That is not my intention. My mom, being the amazing Mimi that she is, decides she's going to go big this year. She has 8 grandkids, ages 3 to 14. I suggested instead of doing baskets and a bunch of individual stuff, I'm like, what if you got something they could all do together? And a few weeks ago, we have a trampoline at my house. And a few weeks ago, they were all down here after school one day and they were jumping on the trampoline and just having a ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just said, what if you get a trampoline for your house? You have them after school. You'll have them all summer. It's something you can send them, send them to go jump on the trampoline.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved the idea, but in typical my mom fashion, she did the trampoline and the baskets. So it wasn't just, my idea was just get the trampoline. Hey, here's your big gift, whatever.
Right.
And so we actually ended up putting the trampoline together on Easter. And my dad he really didn't want to. He was like, we'll get to this. I'll do this later. And I was like, why? We're all here. We can help. Like, whatever.
Right.
I was surprised he didn't care anyway because he has to mow around it. So there's that. But anyway, our team building exercise, I said we could pretend like we're in an escape room and we can all work together and put this trampoline together. And one of my brothers was like, yeah, I hate those. And I was like, whatever.
I do too.
We've got a lawyer, we've got a nurse, and we've got me, whatever. I'm good at things. But anyway, so we put this trampoline together. And I'm not kidding. Within, first we had to okay, let us go away. Go away. Quit jumping on us. Quit jumping on things. Go away. Then we can put it together faster. So we get the trampoline put together faster. Or we get the trampoline put together. Mm-hmm. And they're all jumping on it. And within minutes, bawling and squalling and tackling. And it was actually my dad that was like, my God, what is wrong with these kids? I used to hang out with my cousins all the time. We would go and play all day, get dirty, play, explore, jump on a tramp, whatever. We never fought like this.
No, nobody's ever crying.
No one was ever crying. So my first question is, why? Why is it so different? My kids, too, fight like cats and dogs. It doesn't matter what I do. What happened? What changed? Why can't cousins just all get along? Why do we have to fight? I don't get it.
I don't know. I think there's a lot more tattling that goes on than ever went on when I was a kid. I don't feel like we wanted to tattle on each other. And I feel like for some reason these kids are like, do you know what so-and-so did? Hey, I'm being a good kid and so-and-so's not. You know what I mean? He pushed me. Well, I pushed him back and then he pushed me back and then I did the, it's different. I mean, we were more worried about when I had totally can understand your dad because I went every single week. I went to my grandparents' house and my cousins were there. My grandfather had, and grandma and grandpa, they had a big, huge, enclosed patio. And in there was a big wheel for each one of us. And we would literally all get on our own big wheels, ride on out into the backyard, all along the side of the house and go all over just riding big wheels. They lived in a cul-de-sac, so you'd spin around on those things and have fun. They had a huge hill you'd go down and we could go. It was just a really cool thing that we could do. None of us were I don't ever remember ever fighting with my cousins, not ever. They would put up like things on the trees, and the boys would get BB guns and they'd shoot the targets, for their BB guns. Everything was like we had something to do and we were happy to do it. And there was no such thing as if we were to do it, we're not going to tattle on each other for everything. We're going to like lie together. I mean, like we're going to cover each other's butt. We're not going to like get each other in trouble. It's just different. Like,
so are they watching it? Are they learning that behavior from us, the generation above them, that we're always comparing and competing and not covering each other's ass? You know what I mean? Like,
sometimes I think it's a little bit of the, I don't know. Like you guys do get around each other probably, more than I think a lot of other families do. But like for me, when I was growing up every Sunday to do that, it was very common that lots of families did that. That we were, that families were just like, it was the part of their weekly thing that you got together with your aunts, uncles, and cousins. And I also do think that back then we also were told to go find something to do, and the adults are talking. Like it was definitely more of a world too of the adults are talking. You need to go do what you're supposed to be doing. We had more of an expectation to not be so in the middle of the adults as I think that these kids are now. Now kids can come in and interrupt their parent while they're speaking, and a parent will interrupt the adult conversation to just simply start talking to their kids. That would never have been allowed when we were kids. Like if I walked up to my mom and she's talking, she would have put her hand on my hand onto her leg, and that's my warning of I'm talking. Like you're going to have to wait a minute, but you just knew like I'll be with you in a minute, but I had to be the one who had to be polite to wait for my mom to speak to me, not hello, hey, mom. I mean, you would have gotten in huge trouble if you ever act like that. And most kids nowadays are allowed, in my opinion, too much to kind of rule the roost. And
1,000%. I am just an innocent bystander in their roost.
Yes. So like realistically,
roost, right? That's
yes.
what we're talking about. Okay.
Like realistically, I think that plays a huge part in it. We understood, like, if you're going to run in there to go tattle on somebody, I mean, your parents are going to get probably pretty pissed off at you. Like, seriously, go find something to do with yourselves. This is ridiculous. I mean, you would have been sent back out. The only time there was tears when I was growing up is, like, my cousin one time, he went over their fence, my grandparents' fence or something, and sliced his hand all up,
Yeah.
A little bit of blood, a little bit of tears. One time I went down on my bike, and I fell off and scraped the crap out of my knee. I was fine till I looked at my knee, and then I was bawling. You know what I mean? Like, those were the only times you saw tears, but there was it was serious, accidents. My brother, in my brother's way, ran through their sliding glass door. I mean, glass
that did that.
door, hello, a little bit of a problem. So, I mean, that's the only time you ever had tears. You did not have. We just weren't arguing. We were not doing that stuff.
It's constant. So-and-so's bouncing. So-and-so hit me. So-and-so won't get off the swing. So-and-so won't do this.
Yes.
And we try. I feel like me and my siblings all are like, okay, well, it's not that bad. No one's bleeding. No one died. But I don't know how to collectively get them to just be together without bitching and fighting all the time. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting.
I think we also don't have the world of, I know if I was out in that cul-de-sac screwing around, my parents didn't have to be out front to watch. If I knew any of those neighbors saw us doing something we weren't supposed to be doing, they'd go tell the parents, we got in trouble. That doesn't happen anymore either.
You'll be posted on.
Oh, heck yes. Can you believe that this person was speaking to my child that way? When it's just like, Jesus.
I tried to drop a dog off with someone, and I was plastered on Facebook.
Right. It's crazy. And that has a lot to do with our problems, too. I mean, we are way too... I don't know, record everybody. So if you, the kids, they see all this, they see it even on TV. I mean, TV shows show
then
people
I don't like
doing these
it,
things.
and I don't like the way the world's going, and I want it to go back. I don't like it.
Yeah, there's a lot that we're losing, and that our kids are missing out on because of the. I definitely am happy the way I was. That the world was back when it was the way it was. I'm so glad not to have all this social media, which I'm really fortunate. Even Kylie, at her age right now, she should be nothing but social media, but she's just not, she's not that into it, which is great because then it doesn't warp her mind. She'd rather go out and do something. Right now she's into pickleball. So she'll go and she'll meet with friends and play pickleball all the time during free time, or she'll do sand volleyball.
I want to play pickleball. We've talked about
She loves it. And she's doing that. And then the weather will warm up and then they always play sand volleyball. So she'll go and she'll do that too. And she's not even like a kid who's involved in a sport, but like a lot of kids that are involved in sports don't really do a whole lot of anything. And yet she still likes to go and play these different things instead of sitting around on a phone and social media. But I'm glad that I didn't have that. Just to be meaner. I mean, kids are mean. Kids are mean. Like they've always been mean.
Adults
yes,
are mean.
But adults are even meaner. And adults are even more, I mean, just like I said, if an adult came to your house to say, this kid, blah, 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 you know what I mean? And you would be offended at how dare they come to my door. It reminds me like,
I would probably be like, go fuck yourself.
and that's the problem. Like we had an incident actually where Casey had a situation with a kid that lived not far from us, and they didn't get along very well. And ultimately, this kid started constantly accusing him of stealing his bike. And Casey's like, I didn't steal this kid's bike. And then the dad comes to our house. Now, he doesn't bother to come and get any of us. He just talks to my son, tells him to open up our garage. He wants to look in there because he believes that we have his bike. We don't have this dude's bike. Okay. So whatever. I mean, we didn't even worry about it. At that point, he'd already been shown. I mean, I even told him like, what the hell? You're showing somebody in my garage? Like you should have at least told me. I mean, I still would have let him look and whatever, said, okay, dude, nothing in my garage. We don't have a bike. Well, the kid kept insisting for whatever reason that it was Casey that took his bike. So they went to Great Skate. And all of a sudden we get our doorbell rings. This is probably 9:30 at night. And they were all at Great Skate. And my husband goes to the door, and the wife, well, the dad kind of takes a step back when he sees my husband because he's not, when somebody's coming to our door at night anyways, he's not exactly the guy you probably expected to see on the other side. So he's not Mr. Friendly looking. And so he opens up the door, and she starts like just going off about how her precious little baby is at the skating rink with our son, and our son is calling him. And she starts going on these curse words. Like, I'm like going, okay, as an adult and a mother and a woman that understands how you should present yourself to somebody you've never met in your life, I'm not going to talk like I just walked out of Hoosierville and like and just start saying MFer and everything. I mean, I would have chosen my words a little differently and at least said, I'm here because your son has threatened to like beat my son up, which is what she was telling us. Okay. And she said that, but she then said, and that how my son's foul mouth, which, mind you, I don't allow my kids to cuss at our house with us at all. Like that's never been allowed when they were growing up. But I'm not stupid. Every kid cusses when they're, there's plenty of cusses when they're somewhere else.
And I was like, what?
Yeah, like I get it when you're around your friends. We've had all of our talks about all that anyways. But ultimately, she goes on all these choice words that she says that he was saying, you know. And my husband just simply says, listen, I'm not standing there with my son right now, so I have absolutely no idea what it is he's saying. And he's not allowed to speak like that here, but I'm certainly not going to tell you what he's doing when he's off at the skate rink by him. I can't tell you until I speak to my son. And she's like, well, like her precious little baby boy would never use those words. And he's scared to death. And he's just like the sweetest thing on earth. So he's like, listen, I'm going to go to the rink. I'm going to go pick my son up. I'll talk to him and then we'll be back in touch with you. And so they were fine. Because the wife, after a little bit, kind of backed up off the porch. And I think the dad realized that we're normal people. We don't approach people crazy because your son called you like a crybaby is not, come on. Like you got to,
right.
They're boys. You know what I mean? So Tom leaves and he goes and he picks Austin. He picked up Casey and a couple of his buddies because they were all together. And they call me. And Casey tells me, he's like, so I did tell that kid I was going to beat him up. And he said, I told him to meet me out front. And I'm like, okay.
Like you were going to beat him up or you're going to kick his ass, motherfucker? I heard you use some explicit
and
language.
And I said, well,
so clarify.
So he said, a couple of the words that she said, he's like, I don't even use those words. So I didn't say that. I did say a couple of the other ones. But he said, but I want you to understand why. And I'm like, okay. And he said, this kid kept coming up to me telling me I stole his bike. And he said, after he continually came up to me telling me how I stole his bike and going on and on and on, and believe me, Mom, he had some pretty choice words as he was saying things to me as well. And I said, okay. And he goes, and you can ask all of my friends if he says those words or not. And they were all in the car and they said, yes, he does. He uses them all the time. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, and for me personally, I'm like, I understand people are mad. People say stuff anyways, whatever. But he's like, I didn't say everything she said because I can't even believe she came to your door and even said those words, you know. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So he's like, I would have never told him till after I finally heard enough. I told him, you know what, dude? If you think I stole your bike so bad, let's go out front and we can fight. We can fight out front. Well, then of course he starts crying like a little baby and he calls his mom
because he's scared.
You know. And that's where I'm like, I feel like even back in the day, like when I was growing up, that's more or less how it would happen. Like some kids would say some stupid shit. Somebody finally say, all right, dude, come on, let's go outside. I'll whip your ass. You know what I mean? Like I've had enough. And it would be done. So like I even think some of the times when my kids were younger, they still were not completely social media'd enough to do the tit for, like you had some of it because like that kid's just.
Yeah, now the mom would like verbally accost you via Facebook Messenger.
Yes. Like she would have blasted on social media that my son's the worst thing ever. But I mean, we went to her house the next morning. And of course, her son made an ass of himself while we were staying there. So it all worked out to be where I'm like, okay. I mean, like you got to see big picture. And it should be where parents should be talking, not immediately coming to my home. Acting like an idiot, like my son's done something, and you think your son's in. I mean, she many times told us what a sweet little baby boy she had. You know what I mean? And I'm like,
and that's hard.
You have a boy.
They all are precious little angels that don't do any wrong. But that's not the reality.
That's the thing about it is I think sometimes people forget, were you a child? Did you have friends? Like, do you remember how kids act? I mean, we were all kids at one point in time. And for some reason, these kids are raised by people who believe, but not my baby. Not my precious boy.
Where did that come from? Because I feel like I'm pretty good about like, okay, but what did you do to provoke that?
Yeah, that's you know. I mean, like people don't just come up to you and like, and nothing. You just were the most. I mean, not to say it can never happen, but unless you're in a bullying situation, that can happen. But otherwise, typically, when you have a lot of different instances, your kid played a part in it. And I think nowadays everybody's like, no, not my kid. Nope, my kid would never. If they did that, your kid did something. I mean, kids are kids. And just like when that lady even was telling him, well, he's over there cursing and saying all these words. I mean, maybe he is. How do I know what my kid does when he's not standing next to me? Because if he was standing next to me, he'd be in big ass trouble to sit and talk like that. You know what I mean? And I think, and you know what you instill in them, you know what you try to teach them, but that doesn't mean, I mean, I did plenty of things when my parents were not around that they definitely do not know what's going on. And, like, come on.
Yeah.
We all were kids. We all did stuff.
No,
I guarantee my parents has things that they've done that they probably like, yeah, my parents never knew we were this or that. I mean, like, we're kids.
But just like you said earlier, like if you came up and tried to interrupt an adult, I think it all circles back to us as the adults drawing the boundaries. Like if I'm having a conversation with another adult, zip it.
Mm-hmm.
Zip it. You know what I mean? And holding our own children accountable because it's not that we're saying that these kids are evil. We're saying that everyone needs to have boundaries and everybody needs to be taught what it is to be polite and a kind individual, you know?
Mm-hmm. And I do think no matter what, like, you know how we evolve as people, right? I mean, even as humans, we evolve. So I do think there's certain parts of that, I think even into what we learn and intellectually and then what happens and what, like having phones before, like when I was little, there was not phones like this. So now there's phones. You could be 2 years old and zipping around on a phone. Like we just continually are always evolving things. And it's just funny that you just said zip it because I always tell my grandkids zip it when they're getting on my nerves.
Zip it, zippy.
And one night I was putting the two boys to sleep at our house and I'm always like laying on the floor and Levi's sitting there babbling and I'm like, listen, zip it. And he sat there for a moment, and then he sat straight up. And he goes, Mimi, zip your mouth. And it's just little things like that I'm like, see, other kids would, like when even my kids wouldn't have done that. They would have just been like, irritated maybe that somebody told him zip it, but then they just go to sleep.
They're mouthy.
But they're
we're raising some mouthy
but now he's like,
kids.
and of course I laughed. I mean, because it was pretty dang funny.
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, I have my mouth zipped, so now it's time to zip yours and then lay back down. And he did. It was fine. But it's just funny. But it's like, I do think some of it is that we evolve. I mean, the kids are
You're also
involved
the
in a
grandma,
lot.
So those boundaries can be a little
Yes, and I don't.
but as a
Yes.
parent,
Yeah, like I don't have to be so strict with my grandkids. That's kind of the point.
I don't know what I would have to do, though, to have my children not backtalk me. Like, short of beating them within an inch of their life, they will not stop. And they've probably gotten it from me, yes.
And you've tolerated it.
And I've tolerated it.
From when they were younger.
Yeah, sometimes
it started when they were younger. Because like that's the thing about it, is you really like you know what kind of kids you have, especially by the time they're 3 and 4, you for sure and even already know. Like, you know which one's going to be a bigger pain in the butt as they get older, who you know who's going to be more mouthy, you know who's going to push your buttons. Like, you just know. And it just comes down to, so did you let it be known, though, that certain things aren't tolerated and stay strict, or did you kind of let things slide?
I have one of them that's started to talk to herself very loudly. So like if I make her mad, she'll go to the bathroom and it's like and I'm like, oh my God, would you shut the hell up? We can all hear you. We all know you are not happy right now. Yeah. Would you shut the hell up? And I literally have to say, get it together, girl. Deep breaths, get it together. That's one of the things that I'm hoping that we can work through in therapy, is how to regulate our emotions.
Yeah.
Because we're both very emotional. And so we'll get in a, screaming match over hair. I told her just yesterday, when she had a dance last night, and she's like, will you do my hair? And it's not that I can't help her do her hair. It's that it's never good enough. So it's like an hour event of doing her hair and then redoing her hair. And I'm like, I am going to cut your hair in the middle of the night. I'm going to give you a nice pixie cut. So this is not an issue. But then I'll do her hair and then it's not good enough, and I'll hear her in the bathroom, well, if it was your hair, you would redo your hair. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this isn't right. This isn't normal. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. I think it's there's definitely where you have, it's just a created thing through years. You didn't end up where you have somebody who's 12 and 15 doing and being the way they are in certain ways that you didn't help it along as parents.
For sure. So we need to do a better job of communicating, and we need to do a better job of setting those boundaries so they know that being little assholes in the world is not acceptable. Or when they come to tattle on, if someone's not bleeding or dead, there's no reason for you to be in here.
Yes. Like that's the whole thing, I think, is especially when you have like a situation of cousins or something like that, it's like almost the adults have to get together to have a decision of how that's made. Just because if you have somebody who's kind of like, well, but not my babies, and the other one's like, well, punishes theirs, maybe somebody doesn't do theirs. You know what I mean? Like if there's all these different boundaries in different ways, it's got to be a clear
And it all goes probably deeper rooted, because so-and-so's kids mean to so-and-so, and there's a reason behind it, and it's because they hear their parents talk. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like
there's a lot that goes on. There's a lot that contributes to it.
Dynamics.
But I mean, really, cousin time should be fun time. It should be nothing but fun time. It should be enjoyable, creating great memories, and people that you have in your life long term that you are really thankful that you have when you're adults. It's kind of one of the things I used to even tell the boys all the time when they were growing up was, even when they'd be mad at each other, arguing about something, was that in the end of the day, these are the people you will always have. And when it really comes down to it, you might even think that your friends are the ones that are going to dive in and help you out of all these different situations that you have. But it's actually your family members, when you're really down and out, that'll pick you up. They feel more connected to the obligation, I guess, in a way, or however you want to say it, that to do that for you.
I tell my kids that all the time. When something happens to me, you two are all you've got. So if you start this shit now, you'll have nobody. Like, you two are all you've got. And it'll land for about 90 seconds. It's touching each other. It's in each other's rooms. I'm like, my God, just stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah. But some of that's normal. I mean, everybody, I think, even back when we fought and argued with siblings, and I think that's pretty normal. You know what I mean? I just think it is. I just think you have to always be reminded, because there does come a point in your life. Because even like, your kids get older, they become adults, they have relationships with different people. That also sends into different dynamics of how they, even as siblings, get along anymore. But I think the reality of it is that, like, making sure they always, though, remember, don't lose complete connection with your family. It's just not, it never, ever will do you well to do that. They are the people who, no matter what happens, will have your back. No matter what goes on, they will do whatever for you. And so they just have to always be reminded of that. And if you are lucky enough to be a family that has cousins coming around regularly, those are the next people in line. So it's extremely important. You may get on each other's nerves. You may not agree on everything, but ultimately it's important to know that that is truly the main people that you will have in your life to support you, help you. When you're really, like, lost, they will help you find your way. And yes, friends come along, and they can be helpful, and they can do some things for you, but they will never ever go to the length, because they have their own family and their own responsibilities there too, which is where everybody should be the most.
Right.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Which is one of the reasons I think we have such problems anymore, to be honest.
Yeah, and I feel like kids today have less unstructured struggle, I feel like back in the day, we had hours to figure it out, not an adult stepping in every 30 seconds. Now it's be kind, take turns, say sorry, let's regulate. We're over coaching every reaction. Sometimes I think we need to just take a step back too and let the kids be kids and let them handle it. But the adults need to be on the same page to let that happen, because a lot of times I feel like you mentioned, my kid's perfect. It wasn't my kid. Well, it was that kid. It's always Vince's fault. it's always Vince's fault.
He's so dang cute.
He is so freaking cute, and he is the sweetest. But I'm telling you, if anything goes wrong in anyone's life, it seems like it's Vince's fault. No, I'm kidding. But he can be ornery, but it's not always his fault. Sometimes he's antagonized. He doesn't get credit enough for that, but it's...
And I think you have that anyways. I mean, that's just like even at ours. I think it's really, even in the two grandsons that are of age to be able to have these discussions about, a lot of times people think like that Easton is like not really at fault, that it's more Levi who's really the problem, because Levi's easy to instigate. But
that
yet
must
to
be
me,
it, because it's Nora too. It's always, yeah. And she'll even say, "Oh, it's always my fault. If someone's in trouble, it's me, or we're both in trouble. It's never just him." So there's something to say about that.
And yet if you,
the more
like,
difficult one is less and less trouble, because they're difficult.
Yes. And if you pay attention and you watch, you will, if that there's people who are antagonizing, and that's why all of a sudden, Levi might do something or throw a punch or whatever it is he does. And then other people will be like, "What are you doing?" Because they didn't see the sneaky little aggravation that just happened just before
prior to. That's why it's always Vince's. They don't see the other ones that
are doing something.
Threw a truck at his head. It's his,
his reaction.
It's
his reaction is what gets the attention.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Rather than the reality of what probably just completely came about. And I don't know. That's why I'm always like, I like to see big picture, because you have too many kids that's the problem. They were instigated. They just handle it a little more vocally or aggressively.
Yes.
Than others. And it doesn't make them to be like a problem child by any means. It just makes it to be that you have to pay attention.
And I would say kids definitely have a lower frustration tolerance.
Yeah. Because honestly, I don't think they have to wait for much anymore.
No.
That's why.
Exactly. Everything is instant. It's snacks, shows attention. So when something doesn't go their way,
it's meltdown city.
Every single freaking time.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely way more meltdowns from kids that you see everywhere. Everywhere I go, I see a lot more of it anymore. Even like when you go to the store and there's like kids screaming or acting up or whatever, I want to seriously like go say something to the parents about, it's your fault your kid's doing that.
That's funny. I have a recent story that I'm going to omit sharing because it's not my story to tell. But it's like, you're the parent, and maybe you shouldn't let your child call my child's iPad 78 times. You need to be dialed in on that. Not my story to tell. So we'll leave that for another time when I get the permission that I need to share that story. But yeah, it's tough. We're raising these kids in a tough world.
Yeah, I think we definitely are. Everything's changed. There's a lot going on. There's a lot more for them to navigate through each and every year as they get older. And through that, we should be helping them navigate into mature, happy adults rather than focusing how we just need to protect or shelter them from every single thing, because we don't. That's not really what's going to help them out in the end.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, kids fighting doesn't mean they're ungrateful.
It means they're learning.
And maybe our parents remember the good parts and forget the chaos.
Because I refuse to believe nobody cried at the Wagners.
Exactly. There was definitely at least one dramatic cousin.
If your kids were a little unhinged after Easter, you're not alone.
And it doesn't mean that you're failing. It means you have kids.
And maybe a trampoline was ambitious.
Progress over perfection. Always.
Thanks for spending time with us.
Take what you need, leave what you don't, and be gentle with yourself. And if you want to stay connected, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at the ARMC.
And remember, you're not broken, you're becoming.
We'll see you next time.